Here we go in 3, 2, 1. We are live, brother.
Folks, what is up? And welcome back to the Vol Talk podcast, and welcome to Vandy Hate Week. That is my brother Austin. I am Blake, and we are here to talk all things volunteer sports. Today, Austin, we are previewing the Vanderbilt game, last game of the regular season of 2025. And brother, in my mind, it is good versus evil. Joey Aguilar versus Diego Pavia.
That's one way to look at it, man. That's one way to look on it. Look at it. There's a lot on the line in this game. Obviously, Vanderbilt is fighting for a playoff spot, right? I mean, they think if they win 10 games, they should be given an opportunity in the 12-man playoff. And I kind of agree. Like if you win in Neyland this last game of the year, they'll probably make the playoffs, Blake, if a couple things go their way. So it's a huge game for them. But for us, it's trying to keep them out. We want to keep them out because we don't want little brother yapping, right? And there's already a lot of yapping going on from Vanderbilt fans, which again, very few fans, Blake, but they do have some. And the ones that they do have are yapping a lot right now. They're very confident. Diego Pavia has made them very confident this year. But we'll see, man, because Heupel has owned Vanderbilt. Heupel has owned Vanderbilt, has not lost to them since being the coach here in 2021. So we'll see.
Yeah, and we're actually 6-0 versus Vanderbilt since 2019, which begs the question what Diego Pavia was smoking when he said that they can beat us any given Saturday, right? We're going to get into that, folks. We're going to get into Diego Pavia and Joey Aguilar, the battle of the JUCO stars, former JUCO stars. And we are going to, of course, review the entire game, our offense versus their defense, and then their defense versus our offense. Give you our official score predictions. And then we're also going to briefly, Austin, at the end, touch on the basketball Vols, Rick Barnes and the men's basketball play Houston at the time of this recording tonight, a possible revenge game. And of course, when this episode drops, which will be 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday night, you all will have already seen the result of the game. But we are going to touch briefly on the basketball Vols and how the season has been going and the outlook on revenge against Houston. So we've got a jam-packed episode, Austin. It's going to be good stuff. But folks, first and foremost, as always, I got to ask you to smash the like button on the video. And please jump in the comments and let us know what your official score prediction is for this final game of the regular season, Tennessee versus Vanderbilt. And Austin, we just started last review show of giving a little shout out to the person in the comments who has the closest prediction. So drop your predictions in the comments and we'll shout you out if you're the closest. And then, of course, subscribe if you haven't already, folks. We'd really appreciate it. Austin, let's jump right into, again, what we started the show talking about. The first big question on everybody's mind. The chief yapper, Austin, you talked about yappy Vanderbilt fans. They're yapping because their chief yapper, Diego Pavia, has yapped a lot. Brother, I'm going to start by saying this. If I'm Josh, so Pavia on the SC any given Saturday was quoted as saying that they can beat Tennessee any given Saturday. F all of those guys. If I'm Josh Heupel, Austin, I'm posting every locker, posting a picture of Pavia and that quote, and I'm posting a picture of Tennessee's record versus Vanderbilt since 1928, which is like 79, 14, and 5 or something like that. Okay, like they obviously can't beat us at any given Saturday. They haven't beat us in 6 years. But talk us through, Austin, Pavia versus Aguilar.
Yeah, it's a fun storyline, man. And I will say, I get why Tennessee fans are annoyed with Pavia. I mean, I think what really fueled the flame was his appearance on Bussin' with the Boys when he said, Vandy has all this NIL money and how they're going to run Tennessee football for years to come, and that Nashville is the pinnacle of the state, and that everybody should be a fan of Vanderbilt, even though they couldn't even fill up their stadium against Kentucky last week when the team is literally the best year in its history. They've never won 10 games before, Blake, and they have a chance to do so. Yet they couldn't even sell out their stadium against an SEC opponent. And I get that. That's all delusional. I will say though, okay, he's been living up to his talk. He has been. Now he hasn't been the best player in the country. He's not leading the best team in the country, but he just led Vanderbilt to 9 wins, dude. This is a serious opponent to take seriously, Blake. This is a guy who is second in PFF passing grade on the season in college football. Now we have the fireman, and he's third. So, like, this is a fun matchup, Blake. And we put Battle of the JUCOs because listen, I mean, a story broke last week, Blake, that we mentioned on our last review show that Joey Aguilar is joining the lawsuit with Diego Pavia to sue the NCAA for another year of eligibility, basically setting a precedence that all JUCO years don't count towards any eligibility, which is an interesting conversation, dude.
It's very interesting, right? For us in particular, because and we're not going to get too far into it tonight, but that has big implications for the future of our program and what the quarterback position looks like next year.
Yes.
But in college football in general, it's got huge implications. And so now, of course, you and I have talked before about, man, we got to draw the line somewhere.
Yeah.
But of course, we'd love to have Joey Aguilar back. But then again, I'd also love to finally get rid of Diego Pavia and his fat mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I listen, my take on this, the whole suing for extra year eligibility with the JUCO stuff, they already set the precedent for 1 year, so 1 year is not going to count. So I don't see 2 years. I feel like that's going to get by, man. I feel like they're going to be successful. My take is I don't like it. I think JUCO should count towards eligibility. I don't think we should have 24-year-olds and 25-year-olds playing college football. I don't think it's good for the sport. And it's, you could argue it's a little unfair too. I mean, you got grown men playing against boys in a lot of cases, Blake. But like you said, selfishly, it is intriguing to get Joey back a year with this, what I believe is going to be a loaded roster next year. But listen, we can say what we want about Pavia, right? And he does have a loud mouth, but he's lived up to the hype, dude. He really has. And we all know as Tennessee fans, our defense has been a problem. It has been a problem. And Pavia has lit up bad defenses, Blake. He's only had really 2 bad games this year against Alabama and Texas. And, that's probably the best 2 teams they've played this year as well. And it also so happens to be the 2 most games he's been pressured in. So, of course, pressure is going to be a huge part of this. Another concern I have with Pavia, Blake, is his ability to run and create plays outside of structure. And Tennessee's defense has been really bad under Tim Banks about stopping that. It's been abysmal as stopping quarterbacks that can do that. I will say they showed up against DJ Lagway in that realm, but we've talked about how Lagway has been really bad. Like Pavia and Lagway are in 2 different stratospheres as far as play is concerned right now. So pretty concerning. But hey, man, we're going to war with the firemen. And I like our chances in that because, I mean, I just mentioned earlier, we're talking about the 2nd and 3rd highest grading passers, according to PFF, this college football season. Kind of incredible, man.
It's very incredible. It's especially incredible for Joe Aguilar because of his situation. He had 2 months for learning the playbook. So obviously we're biased. We're all in on Joey Swagular. Okay. But when it comes to Pavia, look, yes, with our defense, we got to put them in the dirt. And what I want to see, Austin, is can this defense put 2 games in a row together where they bring that fire and they bring that hard-hitting mentality? Because, look, Vanderbilt, Florida's our rival. Vanderbilt has been an afterthought for good reason. And so we need to show them, in Tennessee, they don't win, especially in Neyland. They don't win. And, so can Heupel and Tim Banks get this defense up to play another game where they're hitting hard and they're executing well and, and they're going to stop Pavia? That's what I want to see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man, because Pavia, I think, is going to Have them ready. I really do because they really don't like us. We don't really care about them, but they really don't like us. And this is a chance to get into the playoffs. It's going to be interesting because this is the biggest game in Vanderbilt history. Right? Like I think that's probably pretty fair to say, or at least one of the biggest games in Vanderbilt history. So how does Pavia handle the pressure of that? Like how is he going to handle the pressure of that? And of course he's going to have the pressure of 100,000 fans. And it's going to be that's the thing. Like if you, usually in-state rivalries, like if the game is in-state, you'll see a lot of the other fans there. You will see no Vanderbilt fans there. It will be all Tennessee fans. The 102,000 faithful will be in Knoxville, and it's going to be electric, dude. I think it's a lot like the Florida game, though, man, where you got a team that's hungry to win, and they know the like. This is their biggest rivalry, Blake. We talked about this on several occasions that you know, like Kentucky and Vanderbilt, those kind of teams think that we are their biggest rival, so they usually come to play. And so yeah, it's gonna be interesting how Pavia and Vanderbilt handle all that pressure.
But again, we are led by Swagular, the fireman, the Iceman, Joey Aguilar. So we want to see him come out firing on all cylinders, Austin, and playing to his best ability. He's made a couple critical mistakes, but outside of that, he has been fantastic. He has led us well, and it's his last, potentially his last game ever in Neyland, Austin, potentially. And so, I would love to see an absolutely massive game from him and him come out and lead us to be fired up and to put down our rival.
Yeah, and listen, he has come to play against bad defenses this year. He's been good overall, right? He hasn't just been abysmal in any game, but he has torn apart bad defenses, and I think Vanderbilt probably falls into that category. They really haven't done well against high level competition, so I think Aguilar is going to come to play, man. And I think he showed it last week, dude. I mean, like, and listen, Aguilar wasn't necessarily the reason we won last game. Like it was a complete team effort and the defense shut Florida down and the run game was really good. But Aguilar also wasn't making mistakes, right? I mean, that's been kind of the thing we've been talking about the last few weeks. Like, is Aguilar starting to become more turnover prone, starting kind of in the Alabama game and leading into the Oklahoma game and then New Mexico State. But he stopped it last week. There was no turnovers, no turnover worthy plays last week. And so, but that's the thing. We're gonna need big plays out of Aguilar in this game because we know. I mean, I listen. Like again, we can't sleep on Pavia. You can't sleep on Pavia with how he's playing, man. So yeah, I think it is gonna be a shootout. So it's gonna be a question of which JUCO can score more, man. Which JUCO can score more. And so yeah, and who knows? Like you said, it could be their last matchup ever. Both of them. It could be both their last regular season games
Yep.
ever, depending on how the lawsuit goes. But my guess is with how the NCAA is going, it probably won't be.
Probably won't be, but it's fun to think if it is, how big of a matchup it is. And at the end of the day, brother, I know it's everyone, loves a good villain. It's fun to, feel like you're the villain or to root for the villain or whatever. But, brother, at the end of the day, I'm on the side of the good. I think Joey Aguilar is going to win the battle. I
Taking the
won't
good
jump
guys,
ahead too
huh?
much. Yeah, taking the good guys on this one. But let's segue Austin into we're kind of talking about our offense and Aguilar in particular, but let's talk more generally about our offense and how we match up with this Vandy defense. You just kind of alluded to, you know, Vanderbilt has not had the best defense, for most of the year. So break it down for us. Kind of what do you see as the keys to victory for our offense and being able to win this, what we think is probably going to be a barn burner.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it is going to be. But I will say the Vanderbilt defense is better than they've been in years past, but not good. I don't think they're like a good unit by any means. Just to go over some stats from Vanderbilt's defense, I think this is an interesting start to the discussion here, Blake. Josh Heupel has faced Clark Lee's Vanderbilt Commodores 4 times. The Vols have scored 45, 58, which I think that was 56, but who knows? This guy on this tweet says 58. Jordan Moore on Twitter, so I'll throw him under the bus. 48 and 36 points. They have yet to be held under 400 yards of total offense and have rushed for 200 plus yards in 3 out of the 4 games. And then this current Vanderbilt defense, because that's what we've done to them in the past, but what this current defense is ranks 105th in stop rate. Against Power 4 opponents, their defense is 57th in total defense, 62nd in yards per play, 90th in pass defense, 99th in passing TDs allowed, 91st in opponent completion percentage, 79th in opponent third down conversion, 84th in opponent 20 plus yard plays, and 90th in 50 yard plus or 50 yard plus plays allowed. So listen, this seems like a defense that we should be able to hit big plays against. I mean, that last stat in particular, 90th and 50 plus yard plays allowed. That means I'm looking at Aguilar in the offense hitting big pass plays. That actually didn't happen against Florida. That wasn't a part of the game plan against Florida. But we're probably going to need it in this game, dude, because we know Pavia and Vanderbilt are going to put up points on this Tennessee defense. We know that's going to happen. So we're going to have to keep up. And that means we're going to have to hit big pass plays again. And it helps that we have 3 of the best receivers in the country, in my opinion. First ever time, Blake, that Tennessee has had 3 700 plus yard receivers in a single season, by the way. First time ever. Maybe it's the comeback of wide receiver you, Blake. Maybe.
You know, I will always be on that train, brother. I will always be on the wide receiver U train. And that speaks to obviously Heupel. That speaks to Aguilar, him being able to execute in this offense. But of course, speaking of the receivers, we're going to need, and speaking of big plays, we're going to need them to not drop critical passes, which we have been prone to do, unfortunately, this year, even from some of our best receivers. So hopefully they'll be on top of their game. Aguilar will limit his mistakes and turnover worthy plays. And then, of course, the run game. We pounded the rock against Florida. So see what we can do again this week. And then, like you said, we've got to be able to outscore Pavia in this Vanderbilt offense. So any other keys, Austin, that you see from our offense and matching up with this Vandy defense?
Yeah, I mean, always looking at pass pro, see if they can keep Aguilar upright. But I mean, I found that those stats interesting about Vanderbilt's defense. That 3 of 4 games we've rushed for over 200 yards. So, I mean, historically, that we've been able to run on Vanderbilt. And I've said all season, dude, and I think this showed in the Florida game that I think it's better when this team gets out to a lead. When you force the other quarterback to keep up. Now, in Pavia's case, I think I mean, dude, outside of Ty Simpson and Diego Pavia are the best 2 quarterbacks we've played all year. So, Pavia is up for a shootout. But we'll see, dude. I think again, getting out to big leads important. And yeah, I mean, getting the playmakers involved, like the 3 wide receivers I mentioned, Mike Matthews, Braylon Staley, and Chris Brazel. I mean, they've been electric all year. I mean, I see every week those lists of top 10 receiving leaders in the SEC. They're all 3 on it every week. No other team has 3 like us. So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those games that I don't think it's going to be run through the run game, just because this is the first Vanderbilt team where I feel like they are going to be able to keep up with the Josh Heupel offense. So we're going to have to keep being aggressive. That's another thing that. And Heupel against Vanderbilt has done a good job of this, but recently we saw him take the foot off the gas against Florida, and we saw him take the foot off the gas against Arkansas, and just generally hasn't been as aggressive, I think, in years past.
Right.
I think in this game you have to continue to be aggressive. I don't think a 3 touchdown lead means a lot. I think Vanderbilt can probably erase that deficit pretty quickly, Blake. Especially with that Tim Banks defense on the other side of the ball. So I think the offense is going to have to keep scoring, dude. I mean, I saw a comment earlier that I really liked that said it's the first to 40. First to 40 wins. I might even bump that up. It might be first to 50 in this kind of game, Blake. So, yeah, I mean, I think the offense is going to have to continue to be aggressive all day. It's going to have to come through big explosive pass plays, which Vandy's defense, as we've said, are prone to giving up. So,
good news for us. But so, Austin, do you think then that means we're going to kind of break that trend of just kind of beating them down in the run game and rushing for over 200 yards? Each time we play them, you think it's going to kind of be more pass heavy?
Yeah, because the rushing stat is a lot based on the flow of the game. And when you're winning
Yeah,
by 3-4 touchdowns, you're going to run the ball more. And I think that's why you
absolutely.
have those 200 plus yard games. Like the year we won like 56-0 in Nashville, 2023. Actually, was that? I think that was 22 with Milton after Hendon got hurt. But anyways, like you're going to run the ball a lot in that situation. When you're up
Yeah,
50 points, you're going to run the ball a lot. So I don't. It's not that I don't think we can run on Vanderbilt. I think that's we can, but let's say they get out. Let's say they get out to a 14-point lead, like they did last year. Like that
right.
happened in this game last season. They got out to a 14-point lead. We were able to come back because really it was us just giving them 14 points. Um, but like if they get out to a big lead, dude, like you're gonna have to hit explosive pass plays to come back because I think they're gonna keep their foot on the pedal. Like they are going. Listen,
Yes.
I've watched a little bit of Vanderbilt this year, not a ton, but they're breaking out the good plays in this game, Blake. They're breaking out all the stops to beat Tennessee. Like they're gonna continue being aggressive. They're gonna be aggressive on defense. They're gonna try to get pressure on Aguilar. Like so that means you have to do the same. You have to do the same because I actually think this is the year that they actually might have the guys on offense in particular to keep up with Tennessee.
Yeah. They have to pull out all the stops because they're trying to make the playoffs and they're trying to beat their biggest rival in Tennessee. Like you said, they're hungry for the win. They want to beat us in Neyland. They want to beat their rival, and they want to make the playoffs. And so they are. You're absolutely right. They're going to be pedal to the metal the entire game. So we're going to need that to see that from Heupel. But also, we're also going to need to see something, anything, a pulse from this defense. We had a spectacular defensive performance against, admittedly, a lackluster Florida offense, but we're going to need to see something in the way of a living, breathing defense and defensive coordinator to try to get at least a key stop somewhere so that we can get the upper hand. What do you see in this matchup for our defense versus Pavia and their offense?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier that Pavia's two worst games, he had a lot of pressure. He was under a lot of duress. He was pressured 23 times in the Alabama game. That was his worst game of the season, and 17 against Texas. And a lot of their offensive production against Texas, for those who don't know, who didn't follow the game, they scored 21 points in the fourth quarter just to make it a 3-point game. They scored with 30 seconds left just to make it a 3-point game as well. So like that's called garbage time. That's not real. That's not real offensive production. Now Tim Banks, don't take that philosophy because you don't have the Texas defense to actually do bend but don't break. Bend but don't break with us, Blake, is 4 plays and a touchdown. That's what it is. So don't have that philosophy. We need to continue to come out and be aggressive on defense. I've said all year, man, like it's frustrating because I think our middle of the year, I was thinking our pass rush was like going to be pretty good. I think they fell off pretty hard. I won't lie. They fell off pretty hard against some of the better competition, but I still feel like when we simulate pressure, it goes really well. And
Right.
you're going to have to do that in this game, I think, as well. I'm always looking at Joseph. I'm always looking at Ross to get the most amount of pressure because those are the two guys. And then Tyree West as well. He's been making plays. He made a couple good plays in the run game against Florida. But really, I think a lot of it. Another thing to watch out, Blake, is the tight end. Man, their tight end is really their only draft prospect. And I've said that I don't trust our linebackers in coverage against a good tight end. Eli Stowers, he's really good. He's projected to be like a second, third round pick range. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting matchup. Our linebackers versus the really good tight end. They have a generally pretty good receiving group. I will say their offensive line was interesting because I looked at the offensive line, Blake, and the little bit I've watched Vanderbilt, I'm like, man, this O line ain't bad. Like it's not bad, but some of their PFF pass blocking numbers really aren't very good. I think they're the worst pass blocking team overall grade wise in the SEC. So that's kind of interesting. It kind of speaks to what Pavi has done. Like, I mean, I don't know, he's
Right.
very annoying, but to not have a great O line yet still put up the numbers that he's putting up is pretty impressive. But yeah, we're gonna have to find a way to get pressure against that, man. Like, I mean, there's been a couple games this year, Blake, where I'm sitting here saying it's like, dude, it looks like we should get pressure. Like against Alabama. Like I thought, hey, like some of these guys aren't great on the O line, but the pressure wasn't there. So we'll see.
Yeah, because don't get it twisted, folks. Austin's bringing the facts, but Diego Pavia is still enemy number one this week, and
Yeah.
so we have
Yeah.
got to put him. We've got to put him in the dirt. I want to see, like you mentioned against Florida, some hits that are kind of toeing that line where you're kind of worried a flag might come out. I want to rattle Pavia. I
Yeah.
want to put him in the dirt and remind him that he's in Kneeling, brother.
I do like that philosophy though, because rattle them early would that's just football, man. Like hitting someone
Yeah,
hard early, they start to question, do I actually want to continue? Like, do I want to come
right.
back for another year of eligibility? Pablo will start asking. Like if we hit him like we were hitting
Yeah.
Lagway, those kind of questions will cross his mind. Like, man, do I want another year of SEC football? Like, or do I want to go just be an insurance salesman and start a family? Like that, those questions will cross his mind if we hit him like we hit Lagway. And the intensity will be important, man. It's an important question because it's like, dude, we brought it against Florida, but I think there was good reason. Like our team's back was against the wall. We knew the streak was on the line. This team had a chance to do something special. There's no streaks on the line against Vanderbilt for us. Now every streak in the world is on the line for Vanderbilt. They want to snap all the streaks. Plus, they have a chance to go to the postseason. So they have their motivation. The question is, how are we going to get motivated for this game? Like, where is our motivation going to come from? And that's up to the coaching staff. Like, sometimes you have to just and listen, I hate Kirby Smart, but I love the hunt and don't be hunted mentality. That is a great mentality, especially to preach on defense. You should always be the hunters on defense. You should always be the hunters. Don't be the hunted. And listen, they Vanderbilt has the hunt kind of mentality, dude. We're the big bad Tennessee. We run the state here. They want to beat us. They want to get to the postseason. Blah blah blah. So how are we going to respond? How are we actually going to show up, be motivated for this game, and knock Vanderbilt off their Cinderella run?
And that's, to me, what's absolutely critical with this. As critical and as important as beating Florida in the swamp was, and that was massive, it's going to leave a bit of a bad taste in my mouth in particular if we then follow that up with laying an egg against Vanderbilt at home in
Yes.
Neyland, right?
Well,
It's gonna taint the joy of beating Florida in the swamp a little bit. And so, and especially again, we just gave this coaching staff praise. We gave Tim Banks praise, and we especially gave Heupel praise for getting this team up and obviously being hungry to win despite not making the playoffs, being hungry to win against Florida. And so, can we respond again this week and be hungry to win and say, you know what? No, Vanderbilt, Tennessee is Tennessee. We own this state. You are little brother. You don't get to make the playoff. If we ain't making the playoffs, you bet your ass you're not making the playoffs. I want to see that
yeah.
kind of mentality. I want to see the locker room material that Pavia has given us. I mean, don't, like you said, be the hunter, don't be the hunted.
Yeah, and dude, as a coach, you should always use that locker room material, man, because it
Oh,
it
yeah.
again it motivates your players in a time where there's not really external factors for them to be motivated. Like last year against Vanderbilt, when we made that 14-point comeback, Blake, there's a lot of motivation on the line. Guess what, boys? You have a chance to go play in the postseason.
Playoff.
You get a free ticket to Nass whipping against Ohio State. Like you have that opportunity though. Like at the time they were actually playing to do something, to playing to get in the postseason. This year, it's really nothing. Like we're gonna go to a bowl game, so you have to find something else, and you can find that through locker room material. You mentioned it would be a huge letdown. You're 100% correct. 3 games lost in Neyland in a single season. No, you can't have that. It's not just that it's Vanderbilt, because that is a factor. Like we don't lose to Vandy, but it's also the fact that you drop 3 in Neyland after that was kind of Heupel's calling card for a couple years, Blake.
Yeah.
He's invincible in Neyland. That would be completely gone if you drop 3, especially to little brother. And yeah, dude, I mean, we need a Philip Former Kentucky-esque speech where they're saying, and listen, back then, Kentucky was nothing, and Vanderbilt actually does have something to play for now, but I mean, what did he say in that speech? He was like, "Listen, guys, they want to take everything from you. They're just here to screw up your season, kind of deal." I still think we should have that kind of mentality because we're Tennessee and they're
Yes.
Vanderbilt. I mean, they want us. They want to snap the streak. They want to get an upset. They want to continue their Cinderella story. We're not on a Cinderella story. Like our records might be worse, right? Our record might be worse by a game this year. That doesn't matter. Like we know the trajectory of our program versus theirs. It's still on a whole nother level. So like you need to come out and have that mentality, I think, that hey, we're here to end the Cinderella.
Yes. There are three things guaranteed at Tennessee: Rocky Top, beating Kentucky, and beating Vanderbilt. Okay. So you've got to absolutely do it. And again, with this defense, it's going to take Tim Banks getting this defense ready to execute and just getting a key stop or two, and hitting Pavi again, bringing that intensity that they brought last week against Florida. They put Lagway in the dirt. Let's put Pavia in the dirt. Let's show him that he's in Neyland. Show him that he's in our house. And so, got to see that from Tim Banks. Got to see that from this defense, to give this offense a chance to outscore Pavia and the Vanderbilt offense. Because, man, yeah, I mean, it's going to leave a bad taste if we end the season with a loss to Vanderbilt at home for all the reasons you just mentioned. So,
Yeah.
Austin, any other thoughts on the defense and just the game overall?
Yeah, I mean, noise is going to be a factor. I think we have to. I'm not going to
Yes,
be in the
yes.
stadium. They're going to have to get loud though, and make that a factor. They're usually not loud against Vanderbilt. They're usually checked out. Like everybody's just there to have a good time, and because we know we're going to win by 50. It's not. It's that's not that kind of game. It is not that kind of game. The spread is really tight. I haven't looked at it, but I think it's 3-5 range in favor of us. It's a really tight spread. And I'll try to find that real quickly before I get off the show. But yeah, I mean, listen, dude, one thing with the defense is, I mean, Tim Banks is once again, gonna have to have a solid game plan, but specifically, I think it's staying aggressive. I think the Arkansas game in particular this year is the concerning one to me because I just think back to that game and I was thinking it's like, we're clearly better. We're clearly more talented. We get off to this big lead, and then it's just starting to slip because you have the combination of Heupel getting conservative on offense versus Tim Banks doing the same. And all of a sudden, Arkansas is a stop away from going on a last second drive to win the game. I do not want to put Diego Pavia in
Yes.
that situation because listen, people, like again, I if I had to bet right now, just looking at the units and how they played objectively this year, I'm taking Vanderbilt's offense in that situation. You don't want to give them the opportunity to do that, especially in Neyland, because again, like to your point earlier, dude, it will just kill the momentum of the season, kill the momentum as a program, dude. Like these games matter. Like I don't know. Like we wouldn't feel great. Let's be honest. We would not feel great about next year if we end this year of Diego Pavia leading game-winning drive in Neyland Stadium. Like, come on, man. Like, so just don't even give him the opportunity to do so. Get out to a big lead and keep it.
Yeah. Nail on the head, for sure. You cannot put them in a position where that's possible. You got to win before that. And so Heupel needs to keep the pedal to the metal, and Tim Banks needs to keep the aggression on the defense and continue to just again not allow them that opportunity. Don't get conservative if we are in the lead, because you again, like you said, you do not want Pavia to be in that position. But if he is, or if they're close, or any situation throughout the entire game, like you said, Austin, you brought up a great point. It is not a chill kind of game. It is the kind of game where our Vol fans, Vol Nation, need to bring the heat. Unfortunately, we can't be at the game. Any of you that are listening that are going to be at the game, you gotta tear your lungs out. Don't give Pavia an easy environment to play in on Saturday. So, Austin, you got that line for us?
I
What are we
do.
sitting at on the
I
line?
just found the spread. It opened as 3.5 point favorites for Tennessee, and it's down to 2.5. So let me just, for those that aren't handicappers, they don't know a lot about betting, how Vegas sets lines. typically for a home field advantage, especially a place like Neyland, they're spotting that team 3 points. So they think right now where the money's coming in, where the line opened, it's basically a pick 'em as far as on a neutral field if Tennessee and Vanderbilt played this year. So I mean, we just can't go into it just thinking, oh well, we got more talent. Like it's fine. Like it's not the case this year, man. That's just not the case. It's not how the games have played out. So, and again, this is a team in Vanderbilt that's highly motivated. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how players and coaches respond to that. Because like last week, it's easy to get motivation, man. I think it's harder this week. It's harder this week. So, we'll see. And I still think it's going to be a shootout,
Gotta,
by the way.
yeah, gotta see it from Heupel and the coaches to get these players up for this game. Now, Austin, the good news is the line drastically changed in favor of Florida last week, to the point where I think right before the game it was just us favored by about 3.5 points, and then of course we went on to absolutely demolish them and then win by 20. Should have won by more. So hopefully that's the case in this game, but most likely won't be because this Vanderbilt team is definitely more talented and better coached than Florida. So Austin, let's segue right into our official score predictions. You've been talking all episode about the fact that this is probably going to be some sort of shootout, kind of barn burner situation. High octane, kind of a lot of offense, not as much defense. Again, I can't help to feel like it's going to come down to which defense can, as it is in a lot of these offensive shootouts, which defense can get that critical stop or two. We'll see. Austin, what is your official score prediction? How this game's going to go?
Yeah, that last bit kind of takes me back to 22 Alabama, Tennessee. What happens at the end of the game? We get a stop against Bryce Young in the Alabama offense. They miss a field goal. That's another thing, dude. Field goal kickers. I mean, like we all been kind of ripping Max Gilbert. We're gonna need him. We're gonna need him on Saturday because at the end of the day, that was the Alabama game in 22. It was a missed kick and a made kick at the end of the game. So that's what it comes down to a lot of the time. As you pointed out, yeah, it's going to be a shootout, man. I think it's going to be high octane. I do not think I think it's going to be a close game, dude, because this is one of the most motivated teams in the country. And I think they're playing above their talent level because of that, because they've been kind of motivated all year. I'm going to go, let me say, 49-42. That's my final score prediction. A lot of offense, all touchdowns. I'm going to say keep the kickers out of
favor
it.
of who?
Tennessee, of course.
favor of
Tennessee. I'm never going to pick us to lose to
Well,
Vanderbilt.
last
ever.
week you picked Florida, and I was kind of actually hoping you
But
pick
we
Vanderbilt
have,
again.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But we hadn't beat Florida since 2003 in the Swamp. This is Vanderbilt. We beat them every single season. So now I'm going to say 49-42 Tennessee. That's fair. I could say, hey, maybe I'm a reverse jinx at this point. But we'll see. We'll test that theory this week, Blake. I'm picking us to win.
It's definitely going to be tested now because you picked Florida, and then now you're super confident about us beating Vanderbilt because of the exact opposite of.
I won't say I'm super confident. I don't say super confident. I'm confident enough to say we're gonna win a shootout, but we'll see.
Okay. All right. So 49-42. No field goals. You're keeping the kickers completely out of it.
Keep the kickers on the sidelines, please.
And honestly, that might be the case just because I don't know if either of these defenses are going to get a great stop. But
yeah, exactly.
I think there are going to be a couple field goals here and there. I do like the theory that it's the first to 40 is going to win. And so I think with that being said, I think we're looking at 43 Tennessee to 39 Vanderbilt. 43-39. Right. I think our defense does get one key stop. I think they get it done in Neyland, man.
I like it.
Look, my heart can't say anything else. Okay, I need us to win or to end this season on a win and on a high note because we're already riding high right now after Florida, brother. So I needed to continue.
Yeah, the day I pick us to lose to Vanderbilt on this podcast today, it's over, dude. Like It's Vanderbilt. You got to be Vanderbilt.
That's a
I don't.
dark day.
It's a dark day, dude. That's a dark day. That means we're back to the Dooley days, and it's a coin flip if we beat Vanderbilt in this given season. So, I don't want to go back to those days. So, give me Tennessee to win and cover.
I hear that, brother. I'm right there with you. We do not want to go back to those dark days of BVS for sure. So, both of us picking to win Tennessee against Vanderbilt in the last regular season game. Let us know your score predictions down in the comments. Let us know, you think it's going to be a big offensive game, or do you think we're going to get surprised and it's not going to be as high of scoring as we think it's going to be? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Drop your official score predictions, and we'll give a shout out to whoever is the closest in our review show on Sunday after the game. Austin, let us end this episode on a quick update on the basketball Vols, the men's basketball. Rick Barnes and the men's basketball team are looking for revenge today against the number 3 Houston Cougars. Again, by the time folks are viewing this episode, this might be painful or really joyful.
Yeah.
Because they're going to know the outcome of the game. Number 17 ranked Vols versus number 3 Houston. But Austin, we've been rolling so far this season.
We have. The game tips off in about an hour and a half from now when we're recording this. So yeah, it's going to be a fun game, dude. I think it's going to be a close game. The spread's at 3.5 in Houston's favor. But dude, we have been rolling. I mean, we had an offensive explosion yesterday against Rutgers. Dude, I think this is the first time that I feel like our offense is actually going to be like legitimately elite under Rick Barnes. It's starting to feel that way. We have 2 great offensive options in Gillespie and Amit. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, dude. And you know, we've said this several times throughout the recent episodes, but we're going to get into basketball season full throttle once football is done. And that'll be around January-ish, right when we start SEC play for basketball. But yeah, this is going to be a massive game. This is really like a, you know, who are you type of game. Like, you know, like how good is this team? Like, are we going to be able to compete for, you know, an Elite 8, Final 4, maybe finally get that monkey off our back kind of deal? Like, this is going to be that kind of game, a litmus test to see if we're going to be able to compete with the best teams in the country.
Yeah, exactly. You got to see, you know, where we're at, how, you know, how this team is going to do against, like you said, one of the best teams in the country, and you know, just see how the kind of tone is going to get set for the season. So I'm still high on the Vols. You know, we're only ranked 17 right now, but I think we're going to climb that like we normally do under Barnes. We kind of start, you know, people sleep on us and then we climb up the rankings. And so I'd love to see that. Even if we end up losing this game against Houston, I would love to see it be a close game. And like you said, see what this offense is going to be made of. So, Austin, it's been a fun, jam-packed episode. We've got Joey Aguilar, Swagular, the fireman, as we call him on the Vol Talk podcast, versus Diego Pavia in our last regular season game against Vanderbilt this Saturday. I believe Austin kickoff is at 3:30 Eastern, if I'm not mistaken.
Because we can't get a night game, yes.
Right, exactly. In Neyland, though, so folks, if you're going to be there, bring your A game. The team's going to need it. So let's put Vanderbilt where they belong, which is down below Tennessee. In the state of Tennessee, we own this state. So we will be doing a review show, win or lose, on Sunday. As always, we'll be going live around about 11:30 a.m. Eastern on Sunday to review the results of the game. So we will look forward to seeing you all then. Until then, please give us a like on this video. Again, drop your comments, and then, of course, subscribe if you haven't already. But we'll see you all for the review show. Until then, as always, baby, go freaking Vols.
GBO.